I just wanted to touch on the Elliott wave count briefly. Again, I told you Elliott wave is speculation. I'm looking at a potential 1-2. I've talked about 1, 2, and then another 1, and then 2. And I talked about a truncated fifth possibly here. That means that the fifth wave doesn't go down beyond the third wave, and they're very close to one another. Another way of counting it would be a 1 and a 2, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4 with an extended fifth. That is also a possibility. Regardless, I think that whether a truncated fifth or an extended fifth, that you've completed in all likelihood intermediate wave 1 of primary wave 3, and you're now in intermediate wave 2, and I think it's going to stall at either a Fibonacci retracement or at a resistance level like the trend line or the 200 period moving average and the 50 as they get across. You could retrace much of this or get a larger Fibonacci retracement, as I've said. I think that's likely, but then I think once it's done, I think wave 2 will be done, and I think the bottom is going to fall out of Bitcoin after that. I think you'll have a 1, 2, 1, 2, whether that is with a truncated fifth or an extended fifth here. Mark this as a bottom. We'll see, but again, I'll be watching the count back up. Counter trend ABC, much like what we had back over here, primary wave 2. Again, I've predicted that we would try to bounce off the 50-week moving average. I still think that is likely. And then I think we're going to go and attempt to take it out later. We could dance around the 50 for a little while, bouncing off of it, testing it, retesting it, so forth. So what I'm looking for is a lower high below 116,000 and a Fibonacci retracement. If you'll watch the video all the way through, you'll see the Fibonacci retracement levels are getting the bounce that I predicted off of the 50-week moving average. I told you when we did go and make new lows at the 100,000 area at the 50-week moving average, I told you we'd move just beyond it. We did. I told you the people that never saw the sell-off coming, the people that told us we had a breakout at the top would be blindsided, proclaim themselves geniuses and calling another bottom, which is what they've been saying all the way down. The flash crash, again, dip, new lows. Oh, we have another bottom, buy the dip, new lows. We have a series of lower highs and lower lows. I'm looking for another lower high to set up before we get the next liquidation move, which I think is going to be a liquidation move like this, but probably bigger. Please support the channel. Please support the channel with the link directly below that allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like the charts, you like the indicators, let me know that by supporting the channel today. I don't have any sponsors. I turn those offers down. Don't want to send you to an exchange that wants to get you all leveraged up and wipe you out. Send you to some gold site where they want to only charge you triple commissions for gold. Whatever shady deals there are on the internet. Again, I just ask that you partner with me. Let me know that you want this information, that you like this information. If you could take a moment to partner with me, I would really appreciate it. If you could step up to the plate and help out, it would be much appreciated. That's how my YouTube channel is supported. Most YouTube channels get sponsors. I turn those offers down. They contact me all the time, and I turn them down. You get a YouTube channel, they constantly contact you. Please support the channel with the link directly below. It'll take you to a secured site, and you can donate any amount or make it a recurring donation. I thank you for your consideration for that. Just real fast, again, if we have a wave 1, primary wave 1 and 2 done, looking for a 1, 2, 1, 2 for our smaller intermediate waves. If this is wave 1 done or truncated, again, we're going to be looking for wave 2, and then I'm going to be looking for that wave 3. Fibonacci retracement right here. Talk about it later in the video as well. Again, just near our 200 period here, near the 200 period in the daily time frame, that 110,000 area, 200 in the daily time frame, or 78.6 fib, the mid 112,000 area. Again, going to be watching these levels for a retracement of this decline. We get another lower high below 116,000. We now have a series of lower highs and lower lows. We come up closer to the 116,000 area, maybe overthrow the 78.6 Fibonacci. I'll be watching Fibonacci retracements. I'll be watching the 200 and the 50 period in the daily time frame. I expect that we are likely in intermediate wave 2 of crash primary wave 3. Okay, it is the Monday session for Bitcoin. Bitcoin doing exactly what I told you it would do. Bouncing off the 50-week moving average, bouncing here off of Bitcoin's average price. That's this line right here. All over social media, Moon Boys slapping each other on the back, calling yet another bottom. They keep calling a bottom. Told us the sell-off was never going to happen. We dropped over 21.5%, nearly 22% there. And Moon Boys told us we had a breakout. I told you it was a fake out. I told you that we were topping right there at major resistance. Had warning signals flash October 6th, 7th, and 8th, and again called a top on October 6th. We slammed up into the 2017 trend line and turned off of it with a topping tail. The flash crash, the liquidation move, the Moon Boys told us no way is that going to happen, and yet it did. And then they proclaimed a bottom, said buy the dip, and we rallied up to the 50 period, and then we went and made a new low to 103,000. Did it again, said buy the dip, it's over. We rallied back up here towards the 50 again, and then we went and made new lows. And back up here, I predicted we were going to go to 100,000. Remember with the government shutdown, as we were rallying back up, I told you, going to rally back up about 10.5%. That's what we did in 2018. And then you sold off about the same, 21.5%. Then it was followed by a massive rally. Now the Moon Boys, this is interesting, the Moon Boys are picking up on what I said, dismissed what with the government shutdown, the 10.5% rally and the 21.5% drop, which is exactly what we did the last time. Oh, after the last government shutdown, we took off and it was to the moon, baby. Problem is that in the last government shutdown, it was as it was taking place, we were ending the bear market, validated a higher low for Bitcoin. We're ending the bull market completely the opposite. Again, I'm predicting that we get this rally back up towards the 200, towards the 50, retracing this as we get the death cross. I think the death cross is coming in the not too distant future. The people that never saw the top, the people that never saw the liquidation move coming, the people that never saw the sell-off coming, proclaiming again that we're bottoming. Again, they told us we weren't going to come down here. I told you we were. Absolutely incredible. I keep being correct, and yet I'm being mocked while being correct because I am telling you that I believe that Bitcoin has topped and the 4-year cycle has ended. It amazes me. Nobody ever calls them Moon Boys on all this stuff. They've been wrong. They have been completely wrong, and everything that they've said, the opposite has happened. And yet nobody ever calls them on it. It's absolutely incredible to me. Now, again, I told you I was predicting a rally up here. I predict that we're going to get this rebound, and maybe we even overthrow the 50 and the 200 with the death cross, but I think you're going to get it. And then I think you're going to get a dramatic move down going into late December or more likely on into January. And if we zoom out, look at the bigger picture, again, you can see that we've come down towards Bitcoin's average price here, which has acted as support previously. And this is why I was predicting we'd move down here, back up at the top. I told you I thought it would be a fake out, that we'd bounce off these levels and then eventually take them out. Here we attempted to bounce. You took out the level and you attempted to bounce here for a little while, but eventually you took it out. You validated the bear market, and that's what I think is likely going to be the case here. That will attempt this recovery, and then it will end up failing, and eventually we will confirm a bear market with Bitcoin below Bitcoin's average price here, below it, and then staying below it, and again confirming a bear market on the weekly chart, dropping below the 50-week moving average. Now we're bouncing up the 50-week moving average. That's the green line right here, and again, you found support at it previously. You're bouncing off of it. Again, take a little while to confirm a bear market. Now my trend line moved on me here. We're trying to bounce off the trend line, bounce off the 50-week moving average. Over here, we dropped below it, got back above it, exactly what we did here. You tried to rally, and then you ended up dropping below it, but you failed to confirm, and then you got back above it. Then you dropped below it again. you drop below it again, and you finally confirmed the bear market by closing below it. Then you got the follow through the following week. You opened and closed below it, and then you remained below it. And again, the bear market was confirmed with the open and a close below the 50-week after it closed below it. And that triggered the 50-50 sell signal, RSI dropping below 50, Bitcoin dropping below the 50-week moving average, and you have your 50-50 sell signal. Again, I think you get a bounce. Eventually, I think you break the trend line, confirm the bear market. Over here, after we bounced, a false confirmation signal 2 weeks later, and then 4 weeks later, you actually confirmed it 4 weeks later, and then you got the close below the 50-week moving average, and then you got the confirmation of the bear market about 6 weeks later. So keep that in mind. Again, it doesn't have to take that long, but again, I think it is coming. We've gotten rejection off of this trend line from the 2021 highs and the 2017 peak. RSI is below 50, but we're bouncing off the 50-week moving average, as I predicted would happen. So we'll be looking in the coming weeks ahead here for confirmation of a bear market. Eventually, I think we're headed down to the 74,000 area, as I've said. I think you've got this head and shoulders it's carving out, and again, eventually down here or beyond it, and then a throwback to either backtest or throwback towards the broken trend line. The price oscillator moves into the negative region. It will also be confirming a bear market. Quickly going back to Bitcoin's average price, if I bring up Pring parameter here, you can see, again, Pring parameter has been in positive region consistently. The pullbacks towards Bitcoin's average price, we've seen Pring parameter go slightly negative and then turn back up and turn bullish, and those have been the bottoms. Over here, when we lost Bitcoin's average price, Pring parameter went negative, and it remained there through the duration of the bear market till we rallied back up to the Bitcoin's average price. Warned we were about to get back above it, and eventually we did, getting above the 100 period, pulling back towards it, getting rejection off Bitcoin's average price, and then clearing it. So right now, we're trying to go negative here right now. So again, either, like I keep saying, we can't confirm a bear market, which I think we will. We need to firm up here, and we need to see the weekly signals turn back to bullish. We need to clear resistance levels if the rally is to resume. Again, I believe the 4-year cycle has ended. I believe Bitcoin has topped. Until we confirm a bear market, I will still present the bullish scenario, even though I think the chances of it happening are slim to none. But just as we had a bullish divergence at the bottom over here, we have multiple points of bearish divergence turning off major resistance in the weekly time frame. The bulls need Pring parameter to firm up, and they need a bounce here, and they need the weekly charts to turn back to bullish. We're just getting a bounce as I predicted, and we'll see a rally back up maybe as high as the 100 period moving average in a counter trend, say Fibonacci retracement, and then come down to test 74,000 and maybe even take it out. Again, the larger head and shoulders pattern is in play. Watching Pring parameter here on the daily chart. I'm watching RSI, MACD, and the price oscillator in the weekly time frame. We are returning off the 2021 trend line with our log scaling, with our linear scaling from 2017, the peak here connected to the top from the first 2021 high. Again, I warned you about this as we were rallying up into it multiple times. I've warned you that it could mark a possible top, and I told you the October top that I thought that we have topped and the 4-year cycle has come to a conclusion. And I began to see evidence with the turning off of this trend line that the Bitcoin top was in. But this is the trend line. They're linear scaling in the weekly time frame. The other one off the 2021 highs back over here, that's with the log scaling. You're turning off major trend lines in the weekly time frame. Continue to point out the monthly time frame again from the 2021 highs, pointing to the next high. These lows could be pointing to the next low. The bear markets for Bitcoin are about 80 to 90%. This one's going to be the first bear market for Bitcoin where we have a bear market with the S&P 500. No, we had a bear market in 2022. No, we did not. Bull market never ended for the stock market. Major correction, larger bull market. Never had the S&P take out the 200-week moving average and stay below it. What happens in bear markets? 27.5%. The pandemic had dropped 35% in 3.5 weeks. That wasn't the shortest bear market in history. It's just some analyst's definition of a bear market. You're going to have a recession. You're going to have a bear market with the stock market. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Bitcoin. You're probably going to get an 80 or 90% drop on Bitcoin. Go down to this trend line. You could go to the 11, 12, 13,000 area. The head and shoulders measures to 22,000, and 80% drop is 25,000, very close to the head and shoulders measurement of 22,000. Monthly chart is extremely bearish. Eventually, we're going to come break this longer term trend line right here. And when we do, going back all the way back over here to 2015, and when we do, you're either going back to test the 15,000 low over here or this trend line down over here, just making a very large channel. So divergence I used to call the 2021 top. Got a very similar divergence here. Pointed out it's being validated by the price oscillator, the momentum oscillator, and others already rolling over. Again, this is not a bullish chart. Got all the people out there that told us the sell-off was never going to happen and that we had a breakout at the top when I told you it was a fake out at this trend line. They were completely blindsided by the top. They were completely blindsided by the sell-off. They're doubling down. Angry, man. Bird is angry. Posted this chart, and I'm getting called every name in the book for daring to say that I believe Bitcoin has topped. There's evidence and presented the evidence. They do not want to hear it. They're in denial. You got bearish signals in the weekly time frame here, which again you saw just a moment ago how accurate my signal called the bear market over here. Again, I got a new bearish signal with the rainbow cloud on with Sunday's close, and now we're getting the critical mass turning bearish as well. The divergences play out in the weekly and the monthly time frame. You'll see a bear market like we had over here. When it's turned bearish during the corrections in the uptrend, finding support at the 50-week moving average has turned bearish and then reverted back to bullish and went and made new highs. That's what the bulls need to regain control for the weekly signals to all turn bullish and make new highs. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. More bearish signals happening in the weekly time frame, and I am predicting rebound off the 50-week moving average, as I've said. Eventually, moving down to test 74,000, the low from April. Rainbow cloud, critical mass line now turning bearish. As I warned at the top, we're going down to 100,000 to test the 50-week moving average. That's now happened. All the people that said it wasn't going to happen are now proclaiming a bottom and slapping each other on the back, telling each other how smart they are, calling another Bitcoin bottom. These are the people that told us it wasn't going to happen. The moon boys, the so-called experts. I told you I'm getting bottoming signals, and I told you I expected a rebound. Again, I expect it's going to be a counter trend, and once it's done, I think you're going to come back and take out the 50-week moving average and Bitcoin's average price in the daily time frame, and I think you're going to get a dramatic drop. I'm getting short-term bottoming signals, as I've said. That's giving us the rally that we're getting, at least so far right now. It's kind of fizzling out at the moment. Watching, do signals remain bearish, or do they revert back to bullish? We get a bigger retracement, and then they turn bullish and then revert quickly back to bearish. Here, while I have bottoming signals, the trending signals are still bearish. If we get the bigger retracement, we might see some of my signals turn back to bullish like we did here briefly, but then end up reverting right back to bearish. The trend now in the monthly time frame, now bearish. So again, any rally back up is a gift to the bears, an opportunity to the bulls. Most of the bulls will not close their positions. Most of the bulls will end up riding this all the way back down throughout the entire decline, believing hoping, just as they did back in 2021, all through 2022, most of them rode it all the way down, believing the moon boys. And I'm telling you, when we get the 40 to 50% drop to kick off the bear market here that we're in the process of doing right now, down at lower levels, down, as we move towards 74,000 or maybe beyond it, they'll proclaim yet another bottom. And I thought we had a breakout at the top, and I thought this was the bottom. No, this was the bottom. No, this is the bottom. Everything's a bottom. These guys, the moon boys, are a bunch of perma bulls, and that's why they never see the tops. I don't care which way Bitcoin goes. I'm a trader. I trade it back and forth. My weekly signals turn back to bullish. And we shot at Bitcoin not topping. Do I think Bitcoin is topped? Yes, I think Bitcoin is topped. Do I think the 4-year cycles come to a conclusion? Yes, I do. The guts to tell you what I think, but I'll tell you if my signals change. I see evidence of a top now. Warned you at the top Bitcoin could be topping, and I told you I thought it was. I have the ability to change when presented with the evidence. Most people in the crypto community don't have that ability. Most of them are a bunch of perma bulls, some perma bears, but a very tiny, tiny percentage have the ability to flip from bullish to bearish. It's rare in the crypto community. Again, I warned you I was getting bottoming signals and I expected a rebound. Now I'm getting here, the bar flipping back to bullish. Signal call the top, the lower high here. So again, I think you're going to get another counter trend that'll come in somewhere below 116,000, maybe near or just above the 200 period moving average. Period moving average on the daily time frame is 110,000. You may overthrow it. 50. Be watching to see if 116,000 holds. I've said that might have been the final exit point. I think it was. I think the top was here, and I think that was the final exit point for the counter trend. I'm looking for a 1, 2, 1, 2 setup, and then I think the bottom is going to fall out of Bitcoin. I think we're already in crash wave 3. And this is intermediate wave 2 of crash wave 3. Then you're going to get intermediate wave 3 of crash wave, primary wave 3, and get another massive liquidation move on Bitcoin, likely bigger than what we saw over here. You were following this Wyckoff distribution model just spot on. You had a peak in July, you had a peak in August, and again, the August high went slightly higher than the line for those two peaks. You went up and you just slightly overthrew it, and then you dropped below it. And again, you're getting this Wyckoff distribution pattern, pretty much following it spot on. Talked about this since the top. That's what we have pretty much here on the Bitcoin daily chart. Fail breakout there, and then the beginnings of the distribution. Seeing distribution this entire time, and you continue to have the distribution taking place over and over again, and yet people are telling us, no, Bitcoin's under accumulation. But in the Moon Boy cult, up is down and down is up. I'm considered a heretic in the Moon Boy cult because I actually believe in science. I actually believe in gravity, that Bitcoin goes up and down. The Moon Boys don't believe it goes down. Sunday, we did get a bottoming signal here, completed, and again, we're rallying back up. And again, if we get a bigger rally, bigger Fibonacci retracement, then I'd be looking for signals to try to turn back to bullish and then eventually have that move fail with a Fibonacci retracement. I'm getting bottoming signals. Signals remain bearish. As I said, we could get a bigger Fibonacci retracement, moving closer towards 116,000, moving back towards the 50 and the 200 as they get a death cross and maybe even overthrow them. Getting the rally I predicted as we've gotten the sell-off that I predicted. We're getting the bounce off the 50-week moving average. Bitcoin has dropped over 21.5% or so here, and now trying to bounce off the 50-week as I've been predicting would happen since the top. We go down to the 50-week and test it and bounce. Here in the daily time frame, you're getting the bullish signal here. Bars are flipping back to bullish. The rally during the day is kind of fizzling out a little bit off of the highs. Here on a Monday, what I'm looking at is the Fibonacci retracements, and they moved on me. Hey, let me fix it. Let me just bring in this close so I can show you the Fibonacci retracements that I'm looking at. Again, I think you're going to try to rally and recover this decline from 116,000. And I'm looking at the 78.6 Fibonacci to the 61.8 Fibonacci That is between just under 110,000. That's where the 200 period is, and 112,650 or so. 112,000 is currently where our 50 period moving average is, but it's going to change as they move closer to getting a bearish death cross. And we may overthrow them before that happens, but I'm going to be looking at these Fibonacci retracements. I think you're going to retrace this. You're going to come back up here to the 61.8 fib or 78.6, maybe even overthrow it. And then I think you're going to come back down and move to take out this low here. And I think you're going to see the bottom begin to fall out of Bitcoin. But I do think you're going to get the bounce. Predicted it before it happened. I told you we were going to bounce surrounding the 50-week moving average of Bitcoin's average price. Again, my signals nailed the topping signals, the rebound back up, and then this sell-off. I think you're in a counter trend. If we end up overthrowing the 78.6 Fibonacci, again, you might come closer towards 116,000, but I think there's a good shot that that was the final exit point and that we're not going to exceed it. So again, I'm looking for a 1, 2, primary wave 1, 2 done, and now intermediate wave 1, intermediate wave 2, maybe up here somewhere, and then I think you're going to get the intermediate wave 3 of primary wave 3, and that's going to be your crash wave coming. And as I keep saying, and I'll keep saying it in every video, by late December, more likely January, you're going to see Bitcoin down 40 to 50%, on towards 60 to 74,000. Drop 40%, it's going to be near 74,000. If we drop 50%, it's going to be near 60,000 to 63,000. A 50% drop is 63, 52% like the last bear market is 60,000. Yes, I'm continuing to predict we get a bigger rally, but then I think the rally will fizzle out. Watching the Fibonacci's, or if we exceed it, again, I'll be watching the 116,000 area. Bitcoin had the topping signal in the weekly time frame. Validated, bars are bearish. We're bouncing off the 50-week moving average. Eventually, I think we come down here. And again, you've got that larger head and shoulders I've talked about. Bitcoin's up 1.17% at the moment. It was up at higher levels, again, likely rallying towards the 250 as we're about to get a death cross. Eventually, after that, I think the bottom falls out of Bitcoin and it drops 40 to 50%. I think the head and shoulders pattern will begin to play out. And I think by January, I think the Fed will panic, do emergency cuts, and you get a massive Bitcoin rally back up. The question is, how big of a drop do we get? Usually Bitcoin kicks off a bear market with about a 40 to 50% drop. But I've gotten some bottoming signals. Again, Bitcoin, if it rallies back up, the purple line is going to be resistance. You can overthrow it like we did over here. But again, it's dropping, and you could rally into it and get rejection there or just slightly above it. During the decline from the high in January, again, it acted as resistance. You overthrew it a couple of times, but it acted as resistance. And the uptrend, it acted as support, went sideways, and now you're in a downtrend with a lower high and a lower low. It's currently coming in near the 200 period moving average at the mid 110,000 area, but you may overthrow it. But again, I expect a bigger rally in all likelihood. Still in a downtrend here, and again, nice topping signal there. Bars are still red. We broke the trend line. We back tested it. Bars still red. Got a bottoming signal here, and again, we're rallying back up towards the orange or purple line. If we continue to try to rally, the purple line is resistance. Again, that takes us towards the 200 period moving average. Again, we're trying to bounce off support off 98,000. We're seeing this bounce off Bitcoin's average price. I think we're rallying back up to the 250. Eventually, I think you'll get a death cross. Might even overthrow those levels, but I think you're rallying towards 116,000 for a lower high somewhere as we move towards the 250 as they get a death cross, and then I think you're going to come down and crash down to 74,000 or maybe beyond it if we move beyond greater than 40%. By January, you're going to be down here.